In the last couple of weeks, I had the chance to try out the Thypoch Simera, the 75mm 1.4. And man, did I have a blast using this on the Leica M6. And as always, total transparency, this episode is sponsored by Thypoch and I can keep this lens. But all opinions are my own and nobody is paying me to say anything else. And I do have a 5% off for you guys. Check the link down below and use the code TIPSinc at checkout. And with all that out of the way, welcome to another episode of Run Along. First things first, let's unbox this lens. As you can see, it came in an incredible looking box, almost marble-like. They definitely didn't cut down on the presentation side of things. And you guys know me, I love some good boxes. And when opening this, which feels like a box that was made for a watch, you're greeted with the lens and the sun hood that came included. And I can tell you guys right away, this lens feels like a solid piece of gear. Not too heavy, but it does have some good weight on it. Everything is metal and it feels so good when you hold it in your hands. But the most impressive thing has to be the glass when you look at it. Of course, it being a 75mm 1.4, that front element is incredible. Almost feels like a shame to put the lens hood on. You want that glass to be visible all the time. I'll cover more specs on the lens at the end of the episode, so if you're interested in that, hang on. So the first thing that I wanted to try out with this lens was shooting in the studio. Because I think that 75mm is such a good focal length for portraits. And in this case, you can really test out the sharpness of the lens too. So I rounded up Xenia because we needed to test out some different lighting setups anyway and took some frames of her. It is so funny because she's a very good portrait photographer herself, but when she gets in front of the camera, she's suddenly very shy. So I'm shooting this at f/16, which is the maximum aperture that this one goes. Yeah, I've measured all the lights and I'm curious to see how much will be in focus at f/16 on a 75mm. So yeah. This lens is looking so sharp at f/16 and f/11. And I was a little bit worried that the focus fall off would be an issue, but nothing like that at all. The 75mm focal length is, like I said, a very good portrait lens, and on a rangefinder it's still easy to handle. Sure, the frame lines are a lot smaller, or the box is way smaller than, let's say, a 28, but still manageable. Personally, I think this is the max that I would go on a rangefinder. 90 would probably be too much, let alone 135. Then you would really need an adapter or an external viewfinder. For the next setup, we also changed the wardrobe. It wasn't that crazy of a difference, but just enough to see what the light would do. I think the first one had a bit more punch, but the second one had some good shadows too.
We gaan hem maar gewoon poseren. Real model, een beetje. Mouw eraf.
Oh, dit was echt heel leuk, schat.
Ja, niet horse-thief looking ass. Oh, 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 oh. Dan kan je, als je dat straks deed met je handen, is niet zo alsof je stuur aan het is. So for those who are always asking, how do you trigger your flash with those strobes on the Leica M6? Well, it's this Godox trigger that connects to all these lights. And yeah, it just works on the Leica M6, so no problems.
By the way, these lenses also come in silver. And on its own, I think the silver one looks better. But because I like to switch between my silver and black M6, I chose the black one. If I would only have the silver M6, I would definitely go for the silver lens. But what do you guys think about a silver lens on a black body? Let me know in the comments down below. The next time I pulled out the Simera 75mm was when it was snowing a lot here in the Netherlands. And our cats had never been in the snow before. We always had an apartment and never a garden where the cats could walk around a bit. So I had to be quick with it and took some shots with the iPhone while I was taking photos. And this is the real test. Shooting this lens at 1.4 with a rangefinder, with moving cats, can I get anything in focus? In these images you can really see how nice the out of focus area is when you're shooting this wide open. And even though you probably don't need 1.4 all the time, it's so good. Separating your subjects from the background with a focal length like this and 1.4 is just stunning even when you are a couple of meters away. And I will not lie to you guys, but taking photos from a very close distance at 1.4 from a moving cat is really difficult. So yeah, I do have some frames where just everything is out of focus. But when you do hit it, it's all worth it. So it's hard and you probably need some practice with it, but it's definitely possible. Standing a bit further away and everything gets a lot easier. And I think that I can't withhold myself from shooting it wide open when using it. I think that it has some great character to it and the separation is just insane. But what about using it with some on-camera flash? Well, I brought it with me to my little nephew's birthday. And normally I would do these things with a wide-angle lens, but now with the 75mm I can get really close to the subject and leave all the distractions aside. And of course I also had to shoot some without the flash and get that lens wide open.
Koenies? Koenies, ken je die niet? Oh, jij ook al? Koenies, ik ken jullie ook toch. Dat denk ik gewoon niet mijn ding per se. Oh,
is echt cool, hè?
Er staan ook
Ja,
nog
ga jij die andere op even zetten?
0, dat is uit en 1.
Waar is jouw kamer?
Kids are harder to focus on than cats.
Dus zei dat iedereen steeds praat.
So, on the spec side of things, which I normally don't really care about, but a lot of you guys do, so here is some information. The lens has 16 iris blades for perfectly rounded bokeh at any stop. There are no visible onion rings and low color aberration at 1.4. 8 elements in 9 groups, whatever that means, and a close focus distance of 0.6 meters, which is nice if you shoot on a digital camera, but on a Leica M6, the minimum focus distance is 0.7 meters. And what this lens does, it's giving you a little resistance when you hit that 0.7 mark, which is such a little thing, but it makes it so easy to handle. A big plus for that feature. It also has a really nice depth of field indicator, but on a 75, it will always be shallow. And the design of it is really cool in my opinion. And last, but definitely not least, the aperture ring has a clicked and declicked feature, which makes it really suitable for video too. I'll keep it on clicked, which also has a really nice solid feeling to it. So to round it up, I think this is a beautiful made lens for a really good price. Both the build quality and the image quality are set to a very high standard. I'll have this lens in my kit for sure, and I can't wait for those moments where I need a longer focal length to really get into my subject and to really separate it from the scene. To be honest, I don't think that you can go wrong with this lens in any way. And if you're interested in buying this lens for yourself, definitely go check out the link in the description and don't forget to use that code TIPSinc for 5% off. For now, I would love to know what you think about this lens and if a 75 is something that you would put in your kit. If you have any questions left, feel free to put them in the comment section down below. For now, I want to thank you for watching and I'll see you next week. Peace!